Hi guys, and welcome to week 3 session 2. First we're going to start with the warm-up. The first pose we're going to do is cat-cow pose with tail wags. Like always, we're going to start this position by getting into our tabletop. When you are ready, you're going to push your belly button to the floor, lifting your chin so that your gaze is high up on the sky. As we move into cat pose, tuck our chin to our chest, curving up through our spine and tucking our tailbone in. When you are ready, push your belly button towards the floor, lifting up through the shoulders and lifting our gaze up to the ceiling. As we move back through to cat pose, tuck our pelvis under, taking our chin to our chest and pushing up through our shoulders so that we feel the stretch through our shoulder blades. When you are ready, roll back through the spine, lifting our gaze and pushing our belly button towards the floor. As we move back through to cat pose for the final time, ripple through the spine so that we are now curved towards the ceiling. Now we are going to move on to tail wags. So push our belly button to the floor so we are in cow pose before taking your hips towards your shoulders. As we move back to neutral, roll up through our spine so we're in cat pose. We're going to repeat our tail wags. When you are ready, move through to neutral, and that is this exercise complete. Now we are going to move on to a standing side stretch. For this position, we want to start with our feet on the outsides of our shoulders. When you are ready, place your right hand on your hip and take your left arm above your head before bending over our right hand. We want to make sure that we aren't pushing our hip out and that we are feeling the stretch along our left side. When ready, return back to neutral before bending over the other side. Return back to neutral before bending over our right side again. Return back to neutral before bending over the left side for the final time. Return back to neutral, and that is this exercise complete. We will now be moving on to neck rotations. Once again, we either want to stand in our neutral position or slightly wider. When you are ready, take your chin towards your chest. We want to make sure that we aren't lifting our shoulders whilst doing this, so that we feel the stretch across our traps and up the back of our neck. Take your head back to neutral before looking up at the sky. Take your head back through the neutral position before looking over our left shoulder. When you are ready, take your head back through neutral before looking over our right shoulder. Move back through neutral and take your left ear to your left shoulder. And now take your right ear to your right shoulder. Take your head back to neutral, and that's this exercise over. We will now move on to the main session. The first sequence we will be doing is Warrior 1 into Warrior 3. You may need a chair for this. When you are ready, take your big lunge back and twist your back foot to the 45-degree angle. We're now going to take our arms above our head and press our hips forward so that our knee is going over towards our toe. As we move into Warrior 3, we want to reduce the length of our lunge so that our weight is now centered forward. When ready, hinge at the hips so that we are now in our Warrior 3 position. When you are ready, take your leg to the floor and stand up into neutral position. Now move to the other side. When you are ready, take yourself back into your deep lunge and adjust the back foot to a 45-degree angle. Take your arms above your head, pushing forward with your hips so that our knee is going over towards our toe. As we flow into Warrior 3, adjust our back foot before taking ourselves closer. When ready, hinge at the hips so that our leg comes up and our hands go down so that we are now in our T shape. When you are ready, take your foot back to the floor and return to standing. Let's now repeat it again on the other side. Take ourselves back into our deep lunge and adjust the back foot to 45 degrees before taking our arms above our head. When you are ready, reduce the depth of the lunge before hinging at the hips, taking our upper body towards the floor and our leg away from it. When ready, place our foot back on the floor and return to neutral standing. Let's move back to the other side again. When you are ready, take yourself back into your deep lunge, twisting our back foot to the 45-degree angle and taking our arms above our head. Make sure that we are pushing through the hips to deepen the lunge. When you are ready, reduce the height of your lunge and then hinge forward at the hips, taking our arms towards the floor and our legs towards the sky. Take your foot to the floor and return to normal standing. That is this exercise over. Well done. We will now be moving on to chair pose onto toes. For this position, we want to stand in our neutral standing position before taking our arms up to the sky, bending our knees and hinging at the hips slightly. Make sure that our gaze is slightly upwards or in front of us. When you are ready, straighten out your legs and roll through the feet up onto your toes. Make sure that we are engaging our core and our glutes to help us maintain up on our toes. When you are ready, roll back down through the feet to our neutral standing position before bending at the knees and hinging the hips back into our chair pose. When you are ready, straighten out through the legs and the hips and roll up through the feet onto our toes. When you are ready, roll back down through the feet to our neutral standing position. Use this time to reset yourself and relax your shoulders and your legs. When you are ready, take your arms back above your head and return to the chair pose. As we move back onto our toes, make sure that we are engaging our core and our glutes to help us maintain this position. As we move back into the chair position for the final time, make sure that we are rolling through the feet before bending our knees and hinging at the hips back into our chair pose. And for the final time, hinge at the hips before rolling up through the feet onto our toes. When you are ready, roll back down through the feet to our neutral standing position, and that is this position over. When you are ready, we're going to move on to boat's pose with rows. When you are ready, we're going to sit on our bum with our knees bent out in front of us. Once in this position, rotate onto your sit bones and lift your feet off the floor. We're now going to hold this for 20 seconds. Well done, that is the first one complete. When ready, get back into our boat position. We are now going to add rows. So take your hands to the floor on the right side and then to the left, back through neutral, down to the right, back through neutral and to the left, through neutral and to the right, through neutral to the left, back through neutral to the right, through neutral and to the left, back through neutral to the right, back through neutral to your left, and back to neutral. Well done. That is this exercise complete. We are now going to do bridge pose with leg lifts. For this position, we want to be lying on the floor with our knees bent in front of us. When you're ready, contract your glutes and push your hips up to the sky. We are going to hold this for 30 seconds. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. We're now going to have 30 seconds rest. For this one, we're only going to be holding for 15 seconds, but we're going to have our right leg lifted in the air. When you're ready, lift your hips. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Now time for the other side. Let's lift our left leg and push our hips up to the sky. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and drop your hips to the floor. We're going to have a 30 seconds rest before completing the bridge one more time. And when you're ready, lift your hips. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and drop your hips to the floor. Well done. That is this exercise complete. Now we're going to move on to the cool down. The first pose we will do is the child's pose. For this position, we want to get into our tabletop. And when you're ready, drop your bum towards your heels. Make sure that you're feeling the stretch from your fingertips to your bum. If you're not feeling this, wiggle your fingers forward until you feel the stretch. And well done, that is this exercise complete. For our final exercise, we will move on to a supine twist. When you are ready, sit on the floor and lie on your back with your knees bent out in front of you. Stretch your arms above your head and then twist your knees to your right hand side. We want to make sure that we are keeping our shoulder blades on the floor and our bottom hip on the floor. We should be able to feel this twist our spine between our shoulders and our hips, and to stretch up both of our sides. When you are ready, take your knees back up to neutral and then drop them down onto your left side. Make sure that our shoulders are staying flat against the floor and that you are trying to get your knees to the floor as well. When you are ready, take your knees back up through neutral before dropping them to the right hand side again. Now take your knees back up through neutral before dropping to the left hand side. Take your knees back up to neutral and then drop your arms to by your side, and that is the exercise complete. Well done. Amazing, that is the session complete. Well done.